Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Introduction to the New Early Warning System Collator Tools. Today's presentation is the second in a series of 5 webinars that focus on our early warning intervention and monitoring system implementation process and our early warning system tools. Today's webinar will be archived on our website, www.betterhighschools.org. If you were unable to join us for the first presentation in this series, a recording has already been archived on that site. My name is Joseph Harris, and I'm Director of the National High School Center. I'm joined today by my colleagues Laura Urhat and Susan Bowles-Terriot, who are both members of the Center's Early Warning System team. Today's presentation has 2 parts. First, Laura will demonstrate the Center's new EWS Collator Tools and explain how they facilitate entering data into the EWS tools. Following her presentation, she and Susan will take questions through our EWS Community of Practice online chat. We will give you directions on how to access the online chat at the conclusion of her demonstration. Now I'm going to turn it over to Laura.
Thanks, Joe. The National High School Center is pleased to announce the release of 4 EWS Collator Tools. These Collator Tools provide users a way to consolidate student data into a source file that can be easily imported into the early warning system's middle grades or high school tools. These collators are particularly helpful for schools or districts that maintain various pieces of student data in different student information systems, or that are unable to generate a single report with all the student information in the specific order that is required by the source files. Each free, downloadable Microsoft Excel-based file includes a collator and instructions for use. Both the middle grades and high school tools have 2 collator tools that can be used with them. The Student Information Collator allows users to input student information such as name, grade, birth date, and demographic information, such as race or gender. The Student Performance Collator allows users to input student performance information, such as attendance, course failures, GPA, and credits earned. This chart that you're seeing on your screen is also provided in all the instructions within the 4 collator tools. The 4 tools correspond to a specific page within the EWS tools, the Student Information page or the Student Performance page. Users will need to use the appropriate collator tool depending on which page you are attempting to populate. Because both the middle grades and high school tools require slightly different information within the student information and student performance pages. Therefore, it's a good idea just to double-check using this chart to make sure that you are using the appropriate collator for the page which you wish to populate. So I am now going to begin a demonstration of the EWS High School Student Performance Collator. And the process that I'm going to demonstrate is the same one that you would use for all 4 collators. All right, so the first thing you need to do is to open up the appropriate data performance collator. In this case, I'm using the EWS Performance Data Collator. And using fictitious data that I've created, I'm going to demonstrate how various sources of student performance data can be uploaded to the collator tools and then merged into a source file. To locate all of the collators, EWS collators, you may go to the National High School Center's website at www.betterhighschools.org. Now, the first thing to do once you've opened the appropriate collator is you must first enable macros. Macros are required for all collators to run properly because they allow for automated tasks within the collators. On mine, I simply click Options, Enable this content, and OK. Once that is done, you will see that the entire instructions for the collators are presented here on this very first page. the National High School Center would encourage all users to thoroughly read through the instructions before beginning to input your data, just so that you refresh your minds as to how the collators do work. To enter the collator, you may hit Data Summary, which will take you into this first page. Now, this is a screen where you begin to upload your student performance data. And here you will find a list of all the information that could possibly be uploaded within the EWS tools. Now, you do not have to upload every category. All the early attendance, or some schools call it the 20-day or 30-day attendance, total absences, courses failed all, courses failed core, credits earned, GPA, and behavior are all validated indicators. So only one is required for the EWS tools to function. However, the National High School Center does recommend loading as many as possible because it will provide richer reporting options. For purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to be using fictitious data as if the first quarter of 2012 school year has ended, and I now want to enter it to analyze my data. And the data that I'm going to enter will be the early absences, total absences, and GPA, simply to highlight the various features of the collator tools. I want to point very quickly that if you notice, the student ID field is currently empty and does not allow for any information to be uploaded. The reason is that the collator will automatically extract the various student IDs from the information pages that you upload, so that once the data is entered, the student IDs are automatically merged from all of your different sources. So to begin, I'm going to first upload the early absences. To do that, you simply click the hyperlink Early Absences, and that's going to take you to this page within the tool. From here, you can see that you, the user, will have to paste in the student IDs and the number of early absences. And again, we call this early absences, but in many schools, this is known as the 20 or 30-day attendance rate. But because different schools call it differently, we are using the early absences term within our collators. Now, I have previously extracted the information from my fictitious student information. What I'll do is I'll go to where I have that saved, and I currently have that pulled up here. And again, I'm using a 20-day absence rate. And what I need to do now is simply copy and paste my information. So I copy my student IDs, and student IDs are required. Once I've copied those, I simply go back into my collator, click the cell 2A, or the first one under student ID, and I can just simply click paste. I do want to point out that the headers, student ID, and early absences, that you're not able to copy into those headers. So, for example, in my source file that I had, I did not copy the headers for that reason. Once I do this, I click Return to Data Summary. Now, the first thing I want to point out is once you do this, is you'll see under Collated Data Check that there's an error. Now, I want to point out that this is totally appropriate for this stage. All that this means is that you have inserted data, but yet you have not yet merged that data into one data set. So, for example, if I click Merge Data Sets, I get a message here that says Data Merge Complete. Once I click OK, that error message goes away. So you should see an error message at that point. That is, again, perfectly acceptable. You can wait until you've uploaded all of your information if you wish, or you can merge data sets after every time you've input data. That is perfectly up to you. So now once I have done this, I'm going to go and I'm going to load my total absences. And total absences are the total number of absences during my grading period 1. Once I've gotten to this stage, I'm going to go to where I have that data saved. And again, I have already extracted that data from my student information system. I will again copy and paste the student IDs and the number of total absences without the headers. I will copy that. I'll go back in and I'm going to click paste. Again, the information pastes in just in the order in which you've copy and pasted it. Once you've finished doing this, click again, Return to Data Summary. You again will see that there's the error, data input does not match raw data under the collected data. Check. Again, this is perfectly fine. For our purposes, I am going to merge my data sets right away. Data merge complete, and it's merged. Now, I do want to point out one of the really great features of our EWS Collator Tools. And if you'll note, I'm going to make my screen a little bit bigger so you can see, you'll notice that my data counts are different. I have, for my early absences, I have a data count of 43, but my total absences, I have a count of 45. The reason for this is that a unique aspect is that you can have different numbers of students in different student information systems, as some of our users have experienced. And in this case, in my specific, fictitious data, I had 2 students transfer in after the first 20 days. So obviously, they're not going to be recorded in my early absences. At times, there can be challenges trying to get the appropriate information extracted for each student. What the collator will allow you to do is, if those 2 students are not in the early absences, that's perfectly fine. What the collator does is it takes all of your student IDs and seamlessly merges them into one data set. So if my 2 students don't have data, the collator will recognize that and simply leave that information blank. And that's really one of the really unique things that about all of the collators is that it does allow, at times, different sets of data that may have different numbers of students or different student IDs to talk to each other and be able to seamlessly give you one source file with all of your students in it. So the final information that I'm going to upload of my performance data is GPA. Once again, I'm going to click my GPA link. It takes me again to the screen that is associated with all of those hyperlinked performance data. I again go to where I have my GPA saved, and here's my student IDs with the appropriate GPA. I'm going to copy, again, my information. I'm going to go back into my collator, and I'm going to click paste. Now, I want to point another really unique feature of our collator tool out, which is, if you notice here, my student IDs are not in order. In my absences, my student IDs were in numerical order. However, my student information system extracts data for GPA based on GPA lowest to highest. So my student IDs are completely in a different order than it was for the first 2 data inputs. Again, this is perfectly fine. The order of the student IDs does not matter within the collator tool. The collators will seamlessly merge the correct student information by student ID no matter what order those student IDs are in. Again, and also it can handle decimal points with no problem. So if you have a GPA that is 2, 3, or 4 decimal points, the collator tool will also be able to handle that. Or similarly, if you have courses and you can, if a student can earn 1.5 credits, it will also be able to handle decimal points in any of the different fields. Now, once I've pasted this information, I again go to Return to Data Summary. I again have an error, which means I need to merge my data sets. Merged was okay, and now all of my collated data is checking out okay. My student ID numbers tells me I have a total of 45 student IDs with 43 in early absences and 45 in total absences and GPA. Now, it's always, the National High School Center recommends always taking a look and viewing your collated data, which you can see on this screen once you click that button. And what the collator does, it does take student IDs and put them in order, and you'll see that early absences, total absences, and GPA have all been imported. Those student performance data that we have not uploaded, which are courses failed, all in core, credits earned, and behavior, those will be blank. And if you remember, I had 2 students who did transfer in after the first 20 days. The way the collator tool works is that those are added here, and you'll see that under my total absence or my early absences, that they are blank. Again, the collator tool was able to recognize that these students do not have data associated and therefore was able to merge them with the other data sets that I did input. Once you have viewed your data, you can return to your data summary page, at which point you're now ready to save your data into a form that is able to now be uploaded as a source file into the Early Warning System high school tool. To do this, you can simply have to click Save Output to CSV. Source files within the National High School Center's Early Warning System tools must be uploaded either as a CSV or tab delineated file. To do this, click where you would like to have it saved. For my purposes, I'm going to save it on my desktop, and it automatically will be saved as EWS performance data. I'm going to add on to mine GP1 because this was for my grading period 1. Again, you can save this wherever you want, and you can also name it whatever it makes it easy for you to remember. Once I click Save, my source file has now been created, and I'm now ready to upload that source file into the Early Warning System high school tool. To do that, I'm now going to go into my high school tool. The high school tool and the middle grades early warning system tools are available at our website, www.betterhighschools.org. Now, as with the collator tool, you must first enable macros. Again, macros are required for full automation of the tool. Once I have done that, I'm going to click Main Menu, which is going to take me into my Early Warning System High School Tool main menu. The National High School Center always recommends checking over your tool settings page before you upload any new information. And the reason for this is that the tool settings page is really where you set up the tool with appropriate information for your school. So I'm going to be checking to make sure I have the appropriate grading periods, which I do. I have quarters. I have the appropriate days and the start and end periods. Specifically my GPA, I have a 4.0 scale, number of credits to graduate, and I'm also interested in this initial attendance time period. And again, that's either the 20 or 30 days. Once I double check this page just to make sure that it's appropriate, I'll go back to my main page. And then before I upload my student performance, I also want to double check my student information. Now, within the student information, this is required before any additional information can be uploaded on any other page. The reason is this is where you upload your student ID numbers. The student IDs are required on this page because it's through the student IDs that the EWS tools correspond the appropriate information. So, additionally, when looking through here, you can see that there's a lot of information on this page. We have the student details, we have student demographics, and for this reason, this page can also be populated using the EWS High School Student Information Collator. And again, that collator is also available on our website at www.betterhighschools.org. And you would populate it in the exact same way that I demonstrated the student performance data. So once I've confirmed that my student IDs have been entered, I'm going to go back to the main menu, And I'm now ready to upload my student performance data. I'll click the Student Performance tab, and you'll see that my student IDs, first and last name, have already seamlessly been populated. Now, to import my Quarter 1 information, because I've already exported that from my collator as a CSV file, I'm going to click Import Data. Once I have done this, I'm going to browse to where I saved my data. And again, I save that to my desktop. So I'm going to scroll to where that information is saved, my EWS Performance Data, GP1. And then the one additional step that's required on this page when entering information is you must first select which grading period. Because this is grading period 1, I'm going to select number 1. Once I have done that, I click Import. I'm going to get a warning. This is perfectly fine. Simply click OK. And now my information has been imported into the Early Warning System tool based upon that source file that I created using the EWS High School Collator Tools. Now, once this information has been entered, I'm able to now go and start running reports and looking at risk status to analyze the data that the tool tells me about the individual students. Now, for more information on how to run reports and how to use reports, I would highly recommend that you join us for our next webinar, which will be on Thursday, October 25th, on effectively using EWS reports, hints and tips, where we're going to go more in depth about different ways you can use those reports and to better address the needs of your students. After that, we also have 2 more very exciting webinar series in our professional development training series, assigning students to appropriate interventions on Thursday, November 8th, and progress monitoring with EWS tools on Tuesday, November 27th. To register for those, you can go to our website, betterhighschools.org, webinars, default, and EWS webinars. Additionally, all of our archived webinars are available at www.betterhighschools.org. So if you have any questions on ways to use the tool more, we do have some trainings on the EWS tools. In addition, our first professional development webinar in this series has also been archived there. If you're looking for more resources and information, we have a community of practice at community.betterhighschools.org. We also have a variety of products, tools, research, and reports at betterhighschools.org/EWS. And as always, the National High School Center staff is available for any questions at ews@betterhighschools.org. Additionally, we have a Twitter, Facebook, and a YouTube channel that we would recommend looking at and joining for all information on the National High School Center. So at the conclusion of this webinar, we're going to have a live chat session with Susan Bowles-Terrio and myself. Susan is also a member of the Early Warning System team here at the National High School Center. And to access the EWS live chat, you need to enter our EWS community, community.betterhighschools.org. You'll have to log in with your community username and password. If you do not already have one, you can easily create one while they're at that site. At the home page on the EWS, at the EWS community, there is a button that you can click to navigate to the live chat page, at which point the My Chat Role application will be in the center, where you'll be able to begin typing in any questions or comments that you have for Susan or myself. Should you have any questions during this process, please email ews@betterhighschools.org, or another National High School Center colleague, Marshall Conley, will be staying on the line with you to answer any technical questions that you may have regarding accessing our live chat. For any questions specifically related to this presentation or any early warning system questions, those will be addressed within the live chat by Susan or myself. So Susan and I look forward to seeing you all very shortly within the community.